Hello there, gamers. It's me, Sweet Little Bumblebee, here on YouTube for once. Um, I figured that I would do a behind the scenes and I guess kind of lore dump video. Um, you might know me as the actress for B. You might also know me as the doer of pretty much everything in this show. Unusual Rove episode 2 is being written. Uh, I have all the main ideas down. I just need to make a script for it, and then I need to animate it after all the lines have been recorded. Hey, it's me, editing Sweet Little Bumblebee. What I just said there was factually incorrect because the script is written and the audio is recorded. I am just now animating it. So, yeah, just disregard everything that was said just there about me writing the script for episode 2. It's written, and I have gotten about a minute done of it already, in case you were wondering. I actually animated this myself, because I thought it would, like, even though it would have been nice if it faded in, like, it just looks more presentable if it has an animation. Nice one. I'll tell you when we see it, but we're looking for something. Okay, so let me explain this line delivery and just what's up with it. Initially, what was originally going to happen is that Rad was going to be holding a cup of water when he said, well, what are we looking for? I couldn't find a model for a cup of water. So, we just having him do a water pun. Um, there's a... This spy is actually Neon. It's over, Rad. What? Okay, Rad. In that Okay. Here's the part where most people will say that this is a Pootis Engage ripoff. I'm going to be honest. I wish I could have come up with something better for... I wish I could have come up with a different reasons why they're there. But me and Rad both really like anime, so, like... Why not? I mean, spies are also very notorious for being weebs. So... I thought it was only fitting. That, and I couldn't come up with anything else. Oh my gosh, I have stuff on my teeth. Facility. There are anime girls, at least according to the intel I have. Wait, there is? Okay, so there is a cut conversation between Rad and B, where where B reveals that it was on a Twitter post. I had to cut it because I may not be the best at writing, but I am at least trying to be tonally consistent. Also, before I forget, originally this was Unusual Rove was going to have a more realistic style where everything was going to have more weight, everything was going to be more animated, stuff like that. But I decided against it because one, because of me wanting to make it so that it was actually at 1080p instead of 720. The file sizes would be bigger for one thing. And because I wanted to, animate in 30 FPS to make it more nicer, the file sizes were way too big. If you don't know, SFM, if you export files that are bigger than 4 megabytes, well, not megs, gigabytes, they corrupt, and it makes them unusable. So I made the tough decision to animate in 12 FPS, and then, and honestly, I think I made the right choice, because it looks, honestly, it is a lot better looking in 12 FPS. Like, it has its own identity, because I animated it in 12 FPS. Well, I should say mostly 12 FPS, because there are some parts that are animated in 24 or 30, just to make them, more smooth. But I also added this dithering effect in post. The outlines were actually there in SFM. Um, but yeah, the dithering was also added in post. Tiny Desk Engineer. That's the first one. There. Okay, so here's a little detail. Rad says, "God help us," and B says, "What the hell is that?" And that is in reference to the fact that I swear and Rad does not in real life. Like I've been known to swear on occasion. I usually don't. I don't usually swear. I don't like swearing most of the time. Um, but Rad just doesn't. I mean, I mostly do it in stuff like this because, you know, animes like to say bastard and damn a lot. Um, but it's also because like this is really bright and colorful, so I didn't want YouTube to go, hey, this is actually marked as this. I'm gonna mark this as for kids, even though you marked it as not for kids, because it's happened to me before. Thankfully, it was with a Sonic video, and it wasn't like anything too bad. But I'm paranoid. Okay, so about the PSE, the Professional Spy Eliminator Pyrobot. I'm gonna be honest. I just wanted them to fight a giant robot. That's my excuse, because I needed to show off their power. I needed to show off their power, as well as I needed to establish stands in this universe. Here is the first part that I am going to explain in detail. What just happened there? So B's stand is a ping base, which means that it manipulates ping. Let's get that out of the way first. There are three kinds of stands until later. Ping based, weapon based, and hybrid. Hybrid is obviously ping based and weapon based combined. But B stand is ping based, and what it does and how it manipulates ping is it makes B zip by making his ping go into the thousands and then dropping to zero in an instant, causing him to fling towards wherever he wants to go. However, the downsides to this are that it is limited to only a 30-meter radius, and it has to be somewhere that B can see. B cannot just ping dash to his bedroom. He has to be able to physically see it before he can ping dash to it. B's secondary ability that comes up, I don't know if it comes up in the second episode or not yet, but I know for a fact it comes up in the third, is a lot like Connor's reconstruct ability from Detroit Become Human, where if B collects enough evidence, enough clues or whatever, B can reconstruct something that happened. Downsides to this are, it will not show who the murderer is, in cases of murder cases. It will, and it only shows like things that are evident there. Like, it doesn't show who murderers are. It doesn't show pretty much, like, just, it doesn't give away identities of killers or of who did what. But yeah, B does get more abilities later, but that's because the plot requires it. While we're on the subject of abilities, Rad Stand is a hybrid stand. Its ping-based ability, which you do see in this episode, is when Cloggers, that's the stand's name, sets his ping to negative values between 1 and 10, he can see into the future at a random point. The random point can range from minutes to hours. Rad is not able to control what point in time is seen. All he can control is activating the ability. The other two drawbacks to this are he's not able to see himself or Cloggers in these visions. In these visions, Cloggers and Rad do not show up. And the other downside is that Rad is not able to use it mid-combat because it literally blocks his vision when he gets them. But the weapon-based ability is basically the kunai. It's very similar to the kunai in the fact that, and instead of killing to get health, Rad just needs to be able to hit his opponent. So as long as he has constant hitting his opponent, he's fine. Yeah. Oh, and before I forget, all the stands are named after songs. Cloggers is named after "Don't Touch My Clogs," Rad's favorite song. Tonight is named after, the song by the same name, Tonight. It's one of my personal favorite songs. So, and same with You'll Never Dance Again. Divine Hate is actually named after Lilith's favorite song. And yes, it's Divine Hate from Devil May Cry. And Neon Sunset is Sunset Neon, but I switched the words around. Sunset Neon is one of my favorite music artists. The reason why I did this is because JoJo's did it, and honestly, I think it just saves time on naming things. Forgot to change the name up here. So, hello. My dad just walked in. So now we can like establish what Neon Sunset's Divine Hate does. Basically, it slingshots her. Like, it makes it so that so basically it just sets her ping really, really high, causing her to slingshot when her ping goes back to normal. There's a 1 second delay before each jump, and if you're lucky enough, you actually can hit her while she is moving. Because, okay, so basically, while her ping is super high, her physical form is still touchable, it's invisible though. What she leaves behind is an after image of the energy that was used to make her ability go. I don't think Neon Sunset actually does have any other abilities besides that. Divine Hate is really fast and really strong. So yeah. Okay, so Neon Sunset actually had 2 phases. Originally, Neon Sunset was just going to be a really sweaty spy main. That's initially all he was going to be. But then I don't know what happened. I think for the most part what happened is that Lilith, they really wanted to play a part in Unusual Rove. And I wasn't intending for Neon Sunset to be a mainstay of the series until I started, further writing on it. I decided to make Neon Sunset a femme scout because Lilith, unlike me, is not okay playing male characters. And I respect that. Neon Sunset went through quite a few phases, honestly. But I'm happy with how she turned out in the end. I think that what I'm going to do with her with the future of Unusual Rove is going to be very interesting and very fun. I think she might become a fan favorite because of her Starscream-like personality. Like, that was very intentional, and it was going to be intentional from the very start, where Neon Sunset was just going to be very cowardly as soon as they were starting to get beaten. But would be very cocky when starting a fight. Because I didn't want to have to reanimate these scenes when deciding to make her femme scout. I just am like, screw it. She's able to disguise, because why the heck not? I mean, it comes from both laziness and creative creative decision.
We'll be in a fight soon.
Did you feel that?
Stand user.
That is Goddess and You'll Never Dance Again Behind the Wall. That is the stand user that B and Rad are feeling. Okay, so I'm going to make it very clear right now. Ping in actual TF2 and ping in Unusual Rove are 2 very different things. So, first off, there's the shadow here. This was the green screen blocking the light. Second thing is that I want everyone to just acknowledge that B reacts instantly. B reacts instantly. Rad does not react instantly. This is intentional, not just to make a cool shot. B has the fastest reaction time out of all of the cast. And we get into this later when we get into B's backstory, but he basically trained himself to have instant reaction time and to be able to move quickly. But yeah, he has the fastest reaction time out of the entire cast, but just because he has the fastest reaction time out of the entire cast, that doesn't mean that he will be able to move in time.
What's that?
There's a scout beating a dead scout in the background here. There were no physics involved with this part. I animated this by hand. She's never named in the voice acting, so I'm throwing it in here. Is 100% correct because she is never once name dropped in the entire friggin' video. She never introduces herself. She's straight to business.
It doesn't matter. Your journey will end with your death and the disappointment you'll feel knowing I've won and you've lost.
Okay, so you might hear that there's a little mumble track in, like, as well as Virgo's normal speaking. That's because there is a scrapped joke. I scrapped it because I wanted to remain tonally consistent, because it would be weird to have, like, it would just feel very jarring if there was a joke, like in the middle of the start of this very serious fight scene. And that's something I notice with Marvel movies nowadays, is that they're shoving in jokes everywhere they can. So I'm trying to stray away from doing that, only adding in jokes when it fits, when it's good to.
It's your pleasure to meet me. I'm surprised you made it this far. Security should have dispatched you, especially the PSC. Unless you two aren't normal spies, and instead are stand users.
Do you know what he's saying?
No, but I think we should skedaddle meanwhile he's monologuing, because I think he knows what he's doing.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Either way, it doesn't matter. Your journey will end with your death and the disappointment you'll feel knowing I've won and you've lost. You'll never dance again!
This face is a reference to an anime meme. So you might think that what B is doing here is reckless, and it is. But this is just how B fights. At least in his early years. In his early years, B fights really recklessly to essentially lose, so that he can, learn abilities. Like, he does this so that way he can gain the upper hand when the opponent thinks that they've won. B in his later years doesn't do this, and in fact he gets a lot more cocky. He gets a lot more cocky, but rightfully so. Like, he's cocky and has the skill to back it up, like Sonic, like Dante. Like, he's cocky, but he is rightfully so. This is a reference to the point that Dio does. It's also a reference to the meme. Whenever you point at someone, there's always 3 fingers pointing back at you, Dio, and then it's just showing how he points. But as we learn in episode 2, when it eventually rolls around, we find out that B isn't all there in the head. B is not the sanest person in the room. Like, he is far from it. Like, he is very psychopathic. We find out in the second episode. He's just really, really good at hiding it. But that's another thing, is that he's good at controlling himself.
The wall. He's gonna ping dash me into the wall.
Incorrect. Here's the downside to the ping dash. And this explanation will also raise the question of, why doesn't Rad know this? And it's really simple. B doesn't tell anyone about this. But he can't actually ping dash into people. He can ping dash through them, but if he ping dashes through them, nothing happens to them. They'll be fine. And that's because when he's in the ping dash state, he is not solid. He is not able he is solid somewhat. Like, it's hard to explain. But let's just say he's not solid when he's ping dashing. So he can ping dash closer to people, but he can't ping dash into people. But that also raises the question of, can't he just stop mid ping dash to explode them? And even if he could, he wouldn't, because he doesn't want to get his coat dirty. And 2, no, he can't. He cannot stop. Once a ping dash goes off, B has to commit to it. B cannot cancel the ping dash mid dash. And also, he can't just ping dash into somebody's body because he can't see the insides of their body. I'm making it very clear. B needs to be able to physically see where he wants to go with the ping dash. But yeah, Rad doesn't know this because B doesn't tell anybody. So that he can do things like this, which is make his opponent think that he's going to ping dash them. And so they're expecting the ping dash when in reality he has no plans of it. It's a trick that B uses very, very often. Okay, so I'm going to clarify right now. Goddess does survive this. She does live after this. She is very battered, broken, and bruised, but, like, she is still alive. And that's because Goddess is Virgo's sister. And it's also to explain why they sound so similar. Because they do know each other at this point. But also, Virgo doesn't really like Goddess because of how Goddess would treat her, but she still, like, doesn't want her dead.
B, look. I think that's it.
Hey, I wonder who that handsome mug is. Wonder who that pretty face is.
But if they knew that we would
This is a reference to Space Ghost.
trap.
I'll put a clip
if
of what
they
it's
know,
referencing up
we
here.
know.
No, but I think that's just what they want us to think.
Maybe, on the other hand, that's just what they want us to think.
I think that they think that we think that that's just what they want us to think.
Obviously that handshake was a reference to Polnareff and Kakyoin's handshake, but this pose is also a reference to a pose that Jonathan Joestar does in JoJo Part 1. Oh, by the way, this is just a random briefcase.
Outside of the security room.
The part that might not make much sense on a first watch through. But I used a technique that I think I executed pretty well. Is reverse foreshadowing, where you're foreshadowing but backwards. Basically, I'm just showing here that Neon Sunset here is that exact same spy from earlier. I had Rad say that while Neon was disguising. This is a huge part of reverse foreshadowing. She stole the half of the disguise kit that can disguise people. So, yeah, and that's why it makes a glitchy sound when she disguises, because she's a scout. She's not supposed to be able to disguise, but she is. But what she's trying to do is abuse B and Rad's anger to make them fight very predictably and very, like, just able to be countered. But she's not the best at it. She's not the best at using anger in her favor. This pose is a reference to the pose that Sonic does in Sonic Boom when he's angry. Neon doesn't understand any other language but Romanian and English. Will the Romanian pop up ever? I don't know. Okay, so he says that, but in actuality, it's not. But that's just chalked up to anime time. If Rad didn't dodge there, he would have died.
How did you do that?
Carefully!
I'm so glad I had Rad deliver that line. I tried, but, like, I couldn't get the feeling I was going for. And you might be wondering, why didn't Neon just move right out of the way?
Do that!
It's because Cloggers is holding Divine Hate.
Move!
Okay, so originally, what was going to happen here is that Cloggers was going to use the Nessie's 9-iron to basically golf with her, but I decided against it because I don't know how to make a golf animation.
Shall we? Yes.
Okay, so this is a very arbitrary subtitle. Baguette. I almost went back to edit this to make it so that it appeared in actual video. But it would have taken way too much effort to redo all of the subtitles for it. But this is a reference to Kitty07, I think that's her name. This is a reference to Team Fabulous 2. An animation by a Gmod animation by a creator who passed away. I didn't watch the Team Fabulous animation until recently. But I would have felt bad if I didn't at least reference it in some capacity. So that's why I'm referencing it here with, instead of it being sandwich, like it is in Kitty's Team Fabulous, because it was Heavy who said it, it's Baguette because it's Spy who says it. Surprise! This is the flashback episode. I was told that this is a very clever twist by a lot of people. I don't know if anybody caught this, but what does this number mean? Well, I mean, besides the obvious, it's the server. But this number is actually an Easter egg to when I started to play TF2. When my TF2 addiction truly started. Like, this is a reference to that. I started playing TF2 a lot more in September 30th of 2022. In the original dub of it, he says, "This is the coldest I've ever felt 2 Fort B." Or he says the same thing, but it's very, it's different, and it definitely sounds like I said a Rad line instead of Rad saying it. This is the coldest I've ever felt 2 Fort B. This is the coldest I've ever felt 2 Fort B. The 2 Fort Cannibal! Okay, so this scene is actually a reused asset because it's from the original ending to Unusual Rove Pilot. The original ending, Rad and B would have found the anime girls, like found that the anime girls were taken or something like that. Because this was originally going to be a one-off animation. But yeah, this paper, the paper that Rad picked up is supposed to, you know, tell him where to go next. Reused asset. Reused asset. But yeah, thank you for listening to my insane ramblings. Goodbye, gamers.